So today's video is brought to you by my trade paperback for Liquid Kill Volume 1. So the TP, there's two different versions. It's now available. It's for pre-orders in both comic shops and through the bookstores. To get it through the bookstores, distributed through Simon & Schuster, you can pre-order it now on Amazon. The link is in the description. If you want to get it through your comic book shop, you can reach out to your comic book shops and you can give them the order codes that I'm putting in the description and here on the screen. There's two different versions. There's a limited edition Tony Infante cover. That was the original cover for issue 1, the first print run. Okay, they're doing a 1,000 copy limited print run of his cover for the trade paperback. And in addition to that, there's Gabriel Umazark's, new cover for the trade. For this is volume 1, guys. And like I said, that one's on Amazon at your local comic shop. So please, everybody, I encourage you all, if you are into this show, if you're into cyberpunk or hardcore comics, I encourage you to pre-order the book. It's 6 issues. I think the whole book itself is going to be like 160 pages long. I have trailers and stuff if you guys want to look it up. If you on hovencrow.com, and if you reach out to me, I can send you, previews and ash cans and stuff like that. It's a solid book, and it's just volume 1 is now available for pre-order. Tell your friends, let's do this. I need as much hype in the pre-orders as I can in order to get the momentum going, in order for them to print more copies for the actual print run. So the more orders I get now, the more higher chance that I get that the run I can reach more eyeballs in the further down the line. So all my friends, now is the time to order. It's not later whenever you finally see it in shops. The time to order is now. Good morning to you. My wife's Filipino, and I've been to the Philippines
Oh,
multiple
really?
times. So I know
Oh,
of all the countries that I know a little bit about, the Philippines is probably one of the ones I know the most about, even though I still don't know very much. I cannot speak Tagalog or anything else, but I went to, I have a bunch of stories from over there. Like
oh,
one time,
really?
have you been to El Nido? Like what part of the country are you from?
I'm from Mindanao, Cagayan de Oro City. It's a small city here in the Philippines. Yet it's still a progressive city.
Okay. So are you where you're currently located? Is that where you're from? Like, is your company located down in the south?
Yes, I'm currently living here in Cagayan de Oro City, Philippines, and also my team lives here. So it's easy to communicate with when my team is living here in the same city.
Yeah, that's nice. Because that's what's interesting about this industry. I guess before I dive into that of like how people can utilize like your company from all over the world, even though it's like I feel like it's not obvious to everybody that you can like it's a whole team whenever you're creating a comic book.
Yeah.
They can be all over the world. You just have to deal with time
Mhm.
zone changes because, and you most of the time we can do calls like this to talk to the other
Yeah.
creative members and talk through, even when you're trying to produce a trailer for a movie and you're almost like talking through story and almost like storyboarding. And it's like everything can be done internationally nowadays. So we can utilize the advantage of things like the currency exchange differences and like so it can be cheaper to use somebody from that's in the Philippines for us. And for you guys, it might be you'll make more by partnering with people overseas.
Yeah.
But that brings me to like what is the industry like where you're at? So like
Mm.
when you have where do most people go to get comic books? Is it or do you have comic book shops or is it more like other parts of Asia to where there's manga cafes and or is it mostly bookstores or what's kind of the generic consumer of comics? How do they go about getting them?
Technically here in my city, the comic book community is so small, but we still have comic shops like bookstores. We can buy trade paperbacks and comic books and manga. in my city, the or most generally in the Philippines, the most popular is the manga and anime. But in like Metro Manila, the capital of the Philippines, comic books like Western Marvel, DC are more popular there. So there are more like comic shops there, manga cafes, since there are so many communities up there. But here it's so small. We got like for smaller events like mini conventions, something like that. But most of the time, people here buy their comic books through online, and some of them like order from like an Amazon here in the Philippines, like Shopee or Lazada. But most generally, they order it online.
So for independent creators like myself, what's the best way for me to get my books, like physical copies, in your guys' hands? Because I've always had trouble with that. For example, the Philippines and India are some of my biggest fan groups from overseas where they're at. However, if I were to throw a Kickstarter, uh, um, someone in the United States might be able to spend 50 USD, like US dollars, on a book and a poster and all this stuff. But those that in India, they're like, if it's more than $1, good luck. And
Yeah,
same with the Philippines, because it's just that much of a difference of the cost of living is so low, so the amount of income is also low, and
slow.
so
Yeah.
trying to pay that difference, it just like doesn't work out. So it's like the way I do it is through digital comics, because it's like I can afford to give you that for $1, and most people are willing to do that. Um, but I'm always just wondered, like, is there a way to get it? Like you said, there's online shops. Like, I wonder if I could somehow bulk buy or something to where I could get it onto one of those, like an Amazon for the Philippines, and get it on those to sell it for whatever is, like, what's the generic uh price of a physical comic book over there?
Yeah. For a start, maybe you could start in Manila, the capital of the Philippines. You can sell the comic books there since it's more popular there, like the Western comics. There's uh, comic shops called Comic Odyssey. I think there's still Phil bars. So there's more of a growing community there. So maybe that's the part in the Philippines where there's more buyers there. So as for the online, I'm not pretty sure since those comic shops that I mentioned, they sell their on through online stores, their online stores. So that's the most uh, large probability you can sell your comic books here because they do that's their niche. They sell Western comics. There's
Hmm.
also a bookshop here called Fully Book that's much more popular, and I think when you sell these kinds of comic shops or bookstores, you can probably sell more because their target market is more like middle class and upper middle class. So yeah,
Yeah, okay, I get
so
you.
those bookstores and comic shops that are located in Manila, that they can sell your comics,
Yeah, I get. So if I'm
especially
if I'm selling in the
Western
big
comics.
city where there's a demand and there's more of
Yes,
like an upper middle class there that's willing to
yes,
pay kind of the US prices, then I can start to break into that market.
yes,
Although
yes.
it's the same exact barrier in America. Like, you really don't have
Oh,
many comic shops. It's just like there, to where the big cities are where most people are at, and that's where most stores are at, because they have the most enough demand to satisfy like a physical store. But as soon as you start to branch out into the middle of the United States and sort of like the country where there's
yes.
not that many people, it's not just comic shops, it's anything. You know, you're not gonna be able to get
Yeah.
cigar shops or, you know, like there it's just so you everything has to be you go to the city to get it or you buy it online.
Online.
So
Yeah. Mm.
it's not
That's
that
just the
much of
same.
a stretch to do it the same. Um, I think that maybe that is the next step is like I can actually try to reach out to specific stores and almost try to
Yes.
just get it into the shops there as opposed to just I don't it's yeah it's
Yeah.
the whole thing is tough. Honestly it's like and that's
Yep.
why we go through publishers that are supposed to just sort of take care of some of that stuff like well just
Yeah.
get me over there and then we forget that oh well they it's not like I can just get you into this country or something. You have to specifically figure out which city is looking for this kind of thing. It's the same
Yes.
thing with
Yes.
movies. You have to sell directly to the streaming platform or the TV station in a place. It's not just like
Anywhere.
oh yeah. But so I guess give me sort of the rundown of what is Scribble Media and
Mm.
what's the history of it? What part do you play? And then what do you guys do? And then how can you help my audience?
Yeah. Basically, Scribble Media is like a service or platform service where where we illustrate comic books for independent clients. We also do 2D animations for ads or some YouTube creator. Mostly our target audience is for the independent creators, like the low budget creators. Since I started doing freelance work, comic illustration freelance work for almost 10 years ago, and I started at Fiverr and Upwork. Before it was called Odesk,
I remember.
and
Yeah, I was a part of it
yeah,
back then.
and yeah, I started at that platform and branched out to my own website, and so from there, when I started freelancing, my clientele grew and grew and grew. So that's why I needed a team to produce more comic books. So more we do graphic novels, one-shot comic books, and some of them are like custom illustrations for their events like that. So mostly, my clientele are not here from the Philippines. Mostly, my clients are from outside of the Philippines, since I market my services outside of the Philippines. Since, like just I said before, that here in my town, like the community here or the market here is very very low. So that's why I market myself outside of the Philippines. So yeah, we're kind of doing right now like marketing ads, marketing for their comic books or animation, and we have our own comic book platform like the Scribtoons.com. So some of the clients we did, like we illustrated some comics back then, are if they want to opt with us to publish their comic books, we can have publish it in our own platform, and we can do the marketing for them, like post it in our social media, and we have our small YouTube channel. We can post it there. We can market it there. We can run ads on Google and YouTube, Facebook. So it's like a for small independent creators. It's like a small minimum viable product for their comic book if their ideas are like they want to pursue it in major publishing companies, pitch it their endeavors. So it's kind of like their jump start
I
and
get
start
you.
with that.
What's the website again?
um the comic platform is scribtoons.com.
Scribtoons.com. I'll put it in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
description at towards the end. But so does if you like, let's just say I have actually plenty of people that kind of are doing or need sort of your services in a sense that it's like they're like I have this idea or have this script or and they'll come to me and want to just know, is it a good idea? And can I help them get it off the ground? And then it's basically like they need the team. They need everyone involved, someone to illustrate it, someone to script it, and then someone to help market it to where it makes money. I'm like, that's a
Yeah.
big operation. And it's
Yeah.
like, but that's what's interesting. So with you, let's just say if I paid for a one shot and then I was like, and then you guys publish it or kind of jumpstart it. How much of an audience can you guys do you guys pull to get like me my money back? Let's say I pay whatever it is, excuse me, like $1,000. Would you be able to bring back like a much of that on your own with your built-in base, or is that just enough to get people sort of the eyeballs on it, but the main creator is going to have to try to push it out to a bigger audience in order for it to actually earn back enough revenue to cover the costs? Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. I think it's like a client service provider relationship. So it's like a give and take relationship. So as much as at their end, they can also do their publishing. I mean, their marketing, and we can do also ours, and we can produce like a substantial amount of viewers, audiences, since um, the studio itself is not it's not a big company, so it's not like we're gonna have eyes like Marvel or DC.
No, of course. Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, but still, we can still publish it on, or the client will opt to publish it to Webtoons or Tapas. We can still do that. We have a recent client right now that they opted for us to publish it on our platform and on their website and on Webtoons. So yeah, so it's like basically we will help you and you can help us also, like that.
I get you. So you're basically like, I can get you online. I can get you on the
Yes,
big platforms like Webtoon and Tapas and all the others, plus your own platform that has its own built-in
yes,
audience. But when it comes
yes,
to, and like, so you can at least get people reading it, so you can sort of build an audience that way. And
yes,
then it's like down the line, once you have the audience, then we can start to figure out how you turn that audience into dollars.
yeah.
That's basically what I teach because that's actually the route I took. As I first started, I took my first I did a very short series, a 10 page book basically. Got that digitally. Used that to try to build a little bit of an audience or at least some credibility to help me start my next comic, which I posted on Webtoon to build an audience there. And then I used that audience to try to sort of uh, actually
No,
fund
yeah,
my next project or like use that to sort of showcase credibility to where I could build an audience that was actually willing to pay for stuff. And it's worked. So
yeah,
that's always the best way to start is I always say like get the eyeballs first. Everything I feel like everyone tries to go backwards and that no matter what endeavor they're doing, whether it's making a book or a movie or starting a business, they always are like, I'm gonna, do everything and then I'm just gonna come up with the idea and I'm gonna
yeah,
expect other people to give me money for that idea. And it's like, no, you've got to showcase that the idea has value. And the only way to do that is to get people using your website, reading your online comic, and then you can learn how to monetize that audience. You can't go
yeah,
backwards. You
true.
can't expect people to pay you for something that doesn't exist yet. It's like just people don't pay for ideas because ideas are just so loose. They're in the ether. We don't care about anything until it's in front of us. And even that, we
True,
don't care
true.
about anything unless other people care about it. It's like the law of
Yeah,
traction or just like momentum. Like no one really cares about anything until other people start to talk about it. And then if too many people talk about it, then we stop caring anymore. It's a fine window that we have to find ourselves in. Um, dang, yeah. So I think Man, there's all kinds of routes that we could go next with this
Yes.
conversation. But do you so like do you when it comes to the actual illustrations, how like how many people are on your team, and like if someone books that like goes through you, do you have like somebody that does each step, a penciler, an inker, a
Yes.
colorist, or whatever, or do you kind of all play all roles?
Yeah, I actually we do have a specific person for that task. Like for me personally, I can do pencils and inks. So we have a colorist and we have a letterer, and we can tackle multiple projects too. So like I can do one comic book a month, and another team member can do another comic book a month. So yeah, so we have a penciler, inker, colorist, letterer, and we also have a 2D animator. Like we do anime stuff and VFX artist, video editor, yeah, marketing specialist. So we have yeah, we have the whole team.
How like let's say I wanted to go super extreme, and I would say I have I want to turn this let's just say a 10-page script into a 10-minute 2D animated movie. Can you guys do
Mm,
that?
yeah, we can do that.
And how long would that take, do you think?
Well, to be honest, we the longest we did for a 2D animation was like 4 minutes
Okay.
for a music video. Yeah, most of our clients are musicians in the US. Like they do the rock music, and we do their music videos.
Oh, but dang, that
Yeah.
gives me a good idea, actually. So let's just say if I wanted you to turn my comic book into a 1-minute trailer with
Yes, we
2D
can do that.
animation,
Yes, we
you
can
can do
do
that.
that. Yeah.
Um,
Technically, we did a month before, like a client approached us, like he wants a one piece kind of trailer, but not the we did copy the whole one piece thing because it's copyright thing. We just use their faces and put it in a one piece characters. Yeah, but that's a trailer for their products. So yeah, we did for ads, comic ads. We did that in the past.
what if I gave you mine to where you weren't doing all the original artwork? What if I gave you like bits and pieces of my actual comic pages? Would you be able to take like certain pages if I gave you the Photoshop version or the ping or like the right kind of actual technical material that you need? Would you be able to take certain images and sort of turn them into using the original artist's kind of artwork to make it look like the mouths are moving or that the arms move a little bit kind of thing?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can do that. We can do that. Most of our clients are like they want their specific animation to be referenced to this kind of animation or this kind of comic book or this kind of media. So most of the time we do our services are like we emulate uh popular media.
Okay, I get you. Everybody would that would make sense to be like, can you make this
Yeah.
look like they did in Ghost in the Shell?
Yes. Yeah. And
I'm
also,
gonna send you some stuff and after the call and I'll see
sure,
what we can
sure,
do.
sure.
Um,
And also most of our project comic books are like can you most I mean the clients we had with this will ask can you emulate Jim Lee or can you emulate Todd McFarlane? We can do something like that.
oh
So
wow, so they're like,
it always starts with like because we're like a generalist kind of thing. Like we don't have a specific since we're all freelancers. So like okay, we can do this stuff like this, like that.
that makes
Yeah,
sense. That
yeah.
that makes it more Like I'm sure artists have their own individual unique style, but
Yes,
for
yes,
most clients, that I forget that most of us out there, especially, are all businesses, and they're the
yeah,
ones that are really needing this kind of work, or they're musicians, or they're bands, or they're even just someone that wants an anime version of themselves. You know, like, can
yeah,
you animate me telling jokes, or
yeah,
whatever? Uh, or businesses that just want to give something free to their can you make this interesting of me teaching people how to clean up blood spills and turn it into a comic book form so that they're,
yeah.
so
And
I
we,
forget that that's,
we had that kind of clients too.
of course. And then now, yeah. So of course they're gonna be like, can you make it look like Todd McFarlane? Or, yeah. Oh, that would be hilarious. A
Yeah,
Spawn version
recently we
of,
did like a Spider-Man kind of comic, but of course we didn't copy the real Spider-Man, but the client wanted like a Spider-Man style of comics. So we did that a while ago.
that's cool.
Yeah.
If I were a band, I for sure, of course, that's what that. Uh, I'm gonna ask you to do some guerrilla style, turn my band into yeah, ninjas or something.
Yeah, actually, we have a music video a while back. It was I don't know if they're popular now. Today it's called Raven Black. We did an animation like a Tim Burton style, so it was
Whoa,
fun to do. Yeah, it's really fun to do at that time, and it made me think that a small team from a small city from a a small country can do stuff like this. It made me like optimistic about it, about the business.
I I I'm trying to convince, not convince, but I'm starting to get more people to where so many of us as comic creators, you get a sense of like aha when you realize sort of how easy it is to turn your ideas into a comic book and then how to build an audience with a comic book to where then I'm trying to figure out the next easier step to be like now let's turn this comic book into a 2D animation uh
Yeah,
or an old school style anime in an episodic form, but the leap just seems to be like too much because most of the people that know or can do that very well in a speedy time frame, it's still a very tedious process that costs a
yeah.
lot even
Mm.
overseas. It's not enough for an independent creator that's doing this as a hobby. It's like we can turn it into a comic book with the funds that we have, but turn it into an anime is just like just one step too far. But I'm starting to figure out like there are ways. I want to see. I want to. My goal is to do that with my current uh Liquid Kill comic that is live and in stores, and the first volume is about to release this summer, and then the second
Oh,
volume is about to release this fall. And I'm wondering if I can get some more momentum for the second and even the third volume if I give them a teaser of what could be like if I get enough people into the comic, we can actually see this as an anime. And even if that just means like using the funds from the first volume to fund the first episode or what would be the first issue of the series. Um, and that would be probably like 20 minutes long. And so it's kind of
oh,
like for you guys, it would be like, okay, so we're basically doing six music videos back to back to get it out there.
yeah.
But that's kind of my that would be the ultimate kind of next step if I can do it and for a price that's not outrageous. Um, but yeah, if I but I've looked into doing that with legit studios and I mean it's I might as well try to turn it into a live action movie. It's so expensive. And it
Yeah,
makes sense because if you think about paying a comic book artist by page, they do one page a day. Let's say it's $200. Well, when you're talking
yeah,
animation, one page might be 5 panels. Each one of those panels requires 24 to,
yeah.
50 individual
The
panels or whatever to
scenes,
make it like turn
cuts
into
and
moving
scenes.
action. So you're actually looking at each comic book page is actually like whatever it is, 600 pages from an anime artist. So you're like, okay, can you afford to pay some, 200 times 60 or 600 or whatever just for one page? And it's like, oh, not really. But so I started looking at, well, what if I scripted it in a way that narrow it down to like this, you only need to draw this. That's why you see when you're watching anime, there's very subtle, every movement is very important, because
Yeah,
if you're
yeah,
going to be paying for that action, or even not paying, but just like spending the time on that action, that better be an important action. I don't need to make them move their head or be in some kind of crazy moving background unless I need it, you know?
yeah,
But if I narrowed it down to sort of like if I was in this realm, that's the other thing is there's other people I know that actively their main day job is doing storyboarding or animation
yeah,
for the big
yes.
studios. So I've
Mhm.
tried to get with them to be like, what is it that if we did this on our own, what do scripting? But once again, it's another of those things where it's like, well, it would take a bunch more time to rewrite the script and sitting down together and it's like, dang, everything takes time and money and skill sets
Yeah,
that I don't have.
true,
Uh,
true.
but first step is a trailer, a 1 minute.
Yes.
We can get 1 minute going, and then we'll worry about the 20-minute and 2 hour movies later. But aside from the animation stuff and the actual illustration, what's the main? I guess whenever it comes to writing, do people come to you with just ideas and then you sort of help them piece together what to do with it from there? Because I have a lot of people that come to me like that. They actually are not in the comic industry. They are writers that started in some other medium that are interested in comics, but they just haven't quite figured out how to turn their story, whether it's a big epic that they want to turn into a big giant comic series, or there'll be someone that I just have a short story I wrote and they want to turn it into a comic book. Do people just come to you with ideas and then you branch out how to write it as well? Or is it mostly people that come you with a script and then you just illustrate?
Yeah, in the past, we always accept like a comic script, so it's for us, it's ready to illustrate for translate into comic book. But now, I think I've expanded my services to uh, write comic scripts. So some of the clients just give an idea or a vision, and we can fully turn it into a franchise, like from comic script writing, conceptualizing, pencil, the comic book production, and also the trailers, the animations, and also the publication. If you want to opt it in our platform, and yeah, so basically you ask the question that is yes, we can do that, and can write also scripts.
I may have a client for you that I'll send your way because
Yeah, that's a
I
good.
have more
That's
than one that just recently in the past 2 weeks have come to me with just like an outline of a story or a very detailed outline of a very complex story that they then are just like, help me do something with this. And it's like, that's a lot of
oh,
work. But um, whenever it comes to you guys to where they just are like, here's what I have, you guys make it turn it into something. Since you have the
yeah,
studio and that's what you do, I feel like that might be perfect for you. Where it's like, all right,
yeah,
we'll get it all together. We'll turn this into a comic. We'll start with just one issue or whatever. That's the other thing is the main thing that I get to out to people on that level is everyone has the grand vision. So
yeah,
they
yeah,
see it as a 10 plus issue series and they see it with a publisher, they see it in color, and then whenever I explain it's like you first need you need one product first. Just work on one issue.
yes,
Like that it's good to have the grand vision, but like I said, just the idea no one cares about. You got to have the product first and you got to hook them right away. So you got to have a good solid first issue and then see how that does and then try to grow it from there. Then try to fund your second issue and all this stuff. But you need to get one
yes,
product out there. Um, but it's just a lot of writers, especially, they start off to where they see it kind of like movies, to where they're like, well, if I have this idea, or even a script or something, they expect that to then just someone to take that on and be like, wow, you have a genius idea. I can make all this money, turn it into this big comic series that I'll spend all my money on, but I'll give it all to you because of your great idea. And it's like, yeah, it doesn't work like that. Um, and even then, people will come to me and be like, well, what if I gave the rights to you? I'm like, there's very few ideas that are ever so good that we're willing to risk everything on your idea alone. What we need to see is the unique artist, the unique hook, and how it, like, we need to see the artwork first. Like, that's what's going to throw us. Like,
Yeah.
the story alone is not enough. Even if you wrote Fight Club, or we still will not be convinced until we see it as a novel form or as a comic book form. But yeah, it's just funny how I've made the same
True,
mistake
true.
as well. You think your idea is the golden nugget that people are looking for. And it's like, no. Uh, in reality, that is not even 1% of what it takes that we're actually looking for. It's like the idea is just everybody's got great ideas. I can just throw it out there and be like, it'd be great to see Pikachu versus a Mortal Kombat character, wouldn't it? And throw him in the ocean.
Yeah.
And wouldn't that be wild? It's like, yeah, that would be interesting. Show it to me, and don't use characters that other people invented. Like, uh,
True.
it's just fun. I could rant about all the people that reach out to me. No offense to those that do. It's just funny because, like I
Yeah.
said, I
Actually,
was the
it's
same
true.
person. Whenever I was a teenager, especially, I reached out to everybody. I reached out to famous people as a teenager and
Yeah.
asked them for advice and all this stuff. And some people
Yeah.
responded back. It's kind of wild, but and I asked the same dumb
But-
questions like, I have an idea for you. Like, I reached out to Rob Zombie. Do you know who that is?
yeah, I know.
Yeah, like, oh yeah, you have the next Rob Zombie movie. My goodness, 13-year-old kid, you did it. Um,
The thing that you said that initially gave me the idea to pursue this studio because while I did a freelancing work years ago, most of the time clients would I mean prospects would really ask for that specific uh, uh, services. Like they have this vision, they have this idea, and I want it to be like a full-blown franchise.
yeah, of
But back
course.
then, I didn't know. I don't know the time. I don't know. I didn't have the capabilities to write a comic script back then. So now we can do that kind of services now.
Well, that's what's cool. That's the other,
Yes.
that's the light on the other side of this argument is that you actually can just have an idea and turn it into something if you want to.
Yes.
Nowadays because it's with people like you, we can work from all over the world. We can literally talk to each other through Zoom. It's not this big
Yeah.
ordeal that it was in the past. And things are much more affordable now. People are making movies on their iPhones.
Yeah.
And you
True.
can do
True.
all the artwork and you can email it all to me, and it doesn't cost an arm and a leg to hold things on hard drives anymore.
Yes. Yeah.
My dad was an engineer for a big corporation, and I remember him telling me his entire corporation ran on 1 gigabyte of data whenever he started there in the 70s or whatever it was. And I'm like, that's insane because the nowadays, 1 gigabyte, that's a
The
YouTube video.
small.
Yeah, it's crazy. But man, what other stuff do you want to cover? I think I've sort of gone through my general basic stuff, unless we want to start to go down our individual rabbit holes of your actual creative interests or your
Yeah.
past.
Well, technically, not technically. I mean, we also have our own we have our own IPs. Like the character back here is like my own comic book. It's called Zamora here.
Oh,
So
legit.
yeah, yeah. So we're still. It's kind of like a also a a small viable product for us to make the to tell the clients uh, that this services can work.
Can you turn my characters into a the poster
Sandy?
like that you have?
Yeah, yeah.
Like if I send you
This
the
Sandy
file,
is yes. We can do that. We can illustrate it and do
and
it like
turn it
that.
into whatever you need, the vector to
Yeah,
where I can get it printed
use
over
this.
here.
Yeah, I've used this on conventions here. It's like,
I'm gonna
oh, it's
send
new
you.
comic
uh,
characters.
I'm gonna try. Actually, I'm gonna try to figure that out. I'm gonna send you something so I can turn that into the file that I need to send to a printer over here. If I had one of like those at my conventions, man, my sales would be off the charts because my
Yeah,
characters are
yeah.
sexy.
You can sell your comic books like pancakes.
Yeah, I'll really draw eyeballs that way. That's a cool looking character. Where
Yeah,
can I read
and
Zamora
this,
on Webtoon or whatever?
yeah, you can read it on Webtoons. It's like a small viable product. You can view it in Webtoons, and it got 20,000 views and got 1,000 likes. So yeah, so we can do franchises like that.
Nice. Do you have physical comics for sale too? Like if I went to your website,
Um,
can I download or can I buy it from you and get a
that
physical copy?
that's my project for this year. So I'm planning to print it into a graphic novel format. So it's like I don't know if you're familiar with like mangas, like the
Yeah.
tankobon. Yeah. So
Yeah,
maybe
in
I'll
fact,
print,
I think if you can get it in that book form, excuse me, you can get it on Amazon.
yeah, yeah. That's what I'm planning
Okay,
for
nice.
this
I can
year.
actually help
And
you on that end. Uh,
yeah, that's why I've reached out for you for the
we have
for that specific.
we're the puzzle piece that I feel like we could really
Yeah,
like. We'll turn this into a mega studio if you want.
yeah.
And in fact, yeah, with the
I'm
connections I
looking
have
forward.
now, that's what's interesting is uh if like I can almost get the stars to align with the right project to truly get things to actually be like big time. Because I've got studio people that make big films in India. I've got people like you that have studios where you're at. I know people with studios here. I'm friends with printing companies over here. To where it's like if we
Oh,
wanted to turn something into some big thing, I can do
yeah,
it. I would just have to like spend all that, like really try to. It's like making a movie. You got to take the thing and figure out
yeah,
who's going to play the right role at the right time to make it all work.
yeah.
But it's
That's
like it's
why
all coming together. I feel like in a few years,
networking
like
is
we'll figure
important.
out what big project, whether it's yours or mine or someone brand
Yeah,
new, to be like we're turning this into like a franchise. We're doing it all
yeah.
ourselves. We're not gonna try
True,
to
true.
sell the rights to somebody else and hope that they can turn it into a big thing. It's like no. I got the talent that'll bring the audience. I got the studio that'll bring the quality. I got the marketers that are gonna shove it down everybody's throats. And we're getting
Yeah,
there. We're growing.
true. Yeah, it's a good to
Uh
know.
Dang, yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to check out the Zamora. And then yeah, I'm gonna be emailing you after this.
Sure, sure.
I'll send you some stuff to see what we can work on for like a trailer and then and see if I can
Great.
get a poster like that for one of my characters. Um but if you other than that, I guess we'll wrap it up there. And I'll
Oh,
if
sure.
send me any links that you want to your website and stuff like that. In an email, and then I'll put it into the YouTube video,
Okay.
and I'll probably have this posted next week.
Yeah. I'll probably send that today.
All right, cool.
Okay.
All right,
Yeah,
well
that
then, you have a good rest of your day then.
you too. And thank you. Thank you for the opportunity here.
For sure. Yeah, yeah. I'm excited. I want to see what we can do together.
Yeah, looking forward for for the collaboration.
Right on. And once again, for everybody, it's the Scribble Media, right? Or is it Scribble
Yeah,
Studio?
Scribble Media.
Okay, I got it. We'll get all the stuff. I'll put it on the thumbnail and everything.
Yeah, thank you.
See ya.
See ya.